3 and of 60-day reading challenge. And thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope this video is streaming on my Facebook profile, YouTube, Twitch and Periscope. Yeah, so let me just confirm that, and I will soon start reading the book The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. So I hope you're doing good, and without any further ado, let's get started. Then yeah, it's live everywhere. From wherever you're watching this video, I'm really grateful that you're here, and if you haven't followed me on anywhere, just all the social link or handles will appear on the top of the screen that you can see right now here. So yeah, go ahead and follow me wherever you are active. So let's just start today's reading. Today we are going to read only one chapter, that is chapter 4, and I'm really excited that because I really liked this book when I read it. And so let's just get started then. So the chapter name is The Value of Suffering. Some people may not like it. Why should I value suffering? So as a ritual, I'm gonna check how many pages I need to read today. So it's around 26 pages. It was almost like same like yesterday we almost read like the 26 pages as well, I guess. So it's same for today. Let's just read. Okay, so it is a story of Hiro Onoda. Hiro Onoda is a Japanese warrior. So he was assigned to when the US was fighting with Japan, he was assigned to attack the US army, and and he was ordered that he should never surrender. So when US dropped the atomic bomb in the Hiroshima and Nagasaki, after that Japan surrendered and the war was over, because there was no war after that. But and the leaflets were spread out all the jungle, throughout the jungle, that the war is over. But Hiro Onoda and his three uh, friends, I would say, they wouldn't believe that the war is over there. They thought that okay, it is the Americans conspiracy, and that's why they kept fighting. They kept fighting for 5 years. So after they used to kill farmers, they used to burn the rice field, and they used to do each and every guerrilla attack that they can pull possible, right? So after that, US, Philippines and Japanese governments also sent in dead bodies, photos of the soldiers, and within the leaflet and the emperor's message that the war is over. But they still thought that it's just they are just bluffing. The American soldiers actually want them to come out, so they did not surrender again. And after like 10-15 years, his friends kept dying one after another, and Hiro Onoda became my myth or hero or a ghost. so 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 people so Hiro Onoda was something like that, so it was became a kind of urban legend there. But there was this guy, what was his name, man, I forgot. His name is critical, Suzuki. Yeah. Okay, so his name was Norio Suzuki. So Norio Suzuki also heard of the Onoda, and he was a kind of person who didn't like to study and do anything like that. He used to love adventure, so he went out to find Suzuki, where all the US all the US Army, Philippines and Japanese Army tried searching for him in the jungle, but they did not find it. So he thought, who actually born after the war, thought that okay, I'm talking about Norio Suzuki. Norio Suzuki thought that okay, if I will go and find Hiro Onoda. And his strategy was like this: he used to go to the jungle, and for 4 days he used to just shout his name, Hiro Onoda, and he used to say that emperor is very worried for him and he has a message from the emperor. So that was his strategy. But he found him for after 4 days he found Hiro Onoda, and they became sort of friends. And he Hiro Onoda only used to trust Suzuki, because he felt trusted, and he used to learn all the things from the outside from the Suzuki. So here is the thing, for Suzuki it was an adventure to leave his job and just do something like this. That is totally crazy, and people are going to call him nuts for doing that, because he have like Hiro Onoda, he has no regret that he spent his half life. It's like 30 years he spent on the jungle itself. So half of the life of Hiro Onoda were spent on the jungle. So but he don't care about this. He chose to suffer like this, and he has no regret. For the Suzuki, he wants to do something that is totally adventurous, and he has no problem with like spending his spending all the life in the Himalayas in the search of abominable, right? So abominable is like snowman. I really when I read this word abominable, I really love this movie called Abominable. You should highly watch this animated movie. I quite like that movie, and that's a very nice movie to watch. Yeah. So I'm gonna read one thing from the book itself. It says that human often choose to dedicate large portions of their lives to seemingly useless or destructive causes. On the surface, these causes makes no sense. Maybe you have seen that a lot of people or person actually dedicate their life in some things that you may think that okay, they're so stupid to invest all of their time and all of their life to that specific problem. But here is the thing, I really quite like this. These men both choose how they wish to suffer, right? So both of all of these people actually choose how they want to suffer. They have no regret on it. If suffering is inevitable, if our problem in life are unavoidable, then the question we should be asking is not how do I stop suffering, but why am I suffering, for what purpose. So he's saying that if suffering is going to be inevitable in our life and the problems are also going to be unavoidable, right? The problem will come into our life, the suffering will happen at certain point of time in our life. He says that we should not ask that how do I stop this suffering. Our approach would be like, why am I suffering and for what purpose. So that's really important. He says that we need a purpose to actually just for our suffering as well. So if you're doing something if you're doing something for your purpose which is bigger than your suffering, right, then you don't need to think about it like that, why am I suffering and what should I do to make this, to lessen this suffering or anything like that, because your purpose is bigger than your suffering. And that was there for the Hiro Onoda and Norio Suzuki, right? Well, so you might be thinking that Onoda, what he did, he like spent his 30 years in the jungle. You might be thinking that is so stupid of him to actually choose this kind of suffering. But here's the thing, when Onoda was back from the jungle and people were like used to take selfies with him, not selfies, it is to like to take photos with him. There was no selfie at that time, was there? I don't know, just let me know in the comments. It was like 1974. I don't think so. Maybe. Anyways, so he became a celebrity in his home country, and it's obvious. And people and politicians used to like, was like crazy to meet with him and shake his hands with him. And he also wrote a book about his journey. I don't know, he did not mention the name of the book, but I'm gonna still search this book. I haven't searched it when I was reading the book. But still, I will search this book by Hiro Onoda. Okay. Anyways, if I find the book, I will give it the link of this book in the description of this video. You can go ahead and check this out. And yeah, but the thing is there. Yeah, he when he returned, he got lots of celebrity attention and everything, but he did not like the culture because a lot of things were changed in Japan. It was like capitalist It was like a superficial culture, and traditions and on traditions were like destroyed, he thought, because all of the people were like, behaving like this. So he thought that he will use his celebrity exposure to, teach people, to say people his what he thinks. But he was like, dumb deaf to the people did not used to listen to him, because people did not used to think him as a cultural thinker or anything like that, because he suddenly appeared from a time capsule. So yeah, so nobody used to listen to him. He was just a showpiece, right? So he did not like this Japan, and he thought that his life was far better in the jungle, where he had a purpose. Maybe he had suffering, but it was not bigger than his purpose. He had this purpose in the jungle, but now he felt that the Japan he was actually fighting for is not exist anymore. There is a totally different Japan. So in 1980, he actually pack all of his stuff and moved to the Brazil, when he remained until he died. So that is Onoda, and yeah, that is it. Here he talks about self-awareness. Self-awareness, he said, is like an onion. So self-awareness, that is like how aware we are, by on ourselves. So yeah. So he says that the first layer is like simply understanding one's emotions. So that when we feel happy, when we feel sad, when we feel uh, feel a certain emotion, we know that. So that is the understanding of emotion. So he gave some example like, this is when I feel happy, this makes me sad, and this gives me hope. So these are the kind of things that some different scenarios may give certain kind of emotions in your mind. So this is the first layer, simply understanding one's emotion. So you understand your emotion, that's the first. Second is the self-awareness onion, is like ability to ask why we feel certain emotions. When we feel something, let me just give me 30 sec here, I will be back. So I took more than 30 seconds. Thank you for staying here. And the second thing is that an ability to ask why we feel certain emotions, because when we feel a certain kind of emotions, maybe it's anger, happiness, joy, sorrow, doesn't really matter. We forget to ask this one question, that why we are feeling such emotion, right? And it's really important that we ask that why we are feeling such an emotion. So basically it's help us understand the root, that okay, this is what actually triggering the emotions at the first place, right? Because when we feel a certain way in a certain period of time, we forget to ask this, that why we are feeling this. If we question this, we can trace the root, that and we can find that okay, this is the thing that really cause the unhappiness on me, that this is the thing actually gives me hope, right? And we can find the root cause, like we can go to we can find this layer, because this is the first layer, right? And another deeper level is here, it is called the personal values. So we all have some value that we put on, and everyone's value is different from them, in their lives. So he says that it takes constant questioning and effort to actually find out what our values are, right? Because our values actually determines that the problem that we are going to get, right, in our life. And it's true, I believe that, because if we have a certain kind of value, we will think of something as a problem, depending on our values, right? So suppose if honesty is your value, and then if if someone is lying in front of you, you are going to feel bad about it. This, if honesty is not your value, you are not going to feel any shit on that. You don't care, right? It's okay, right? So here's the thing: everything we think and feel about a situation ultimately comes back to how valuable we perceive it to be. There's the thing: when we feel that certain situation or emotion is important to us, it's that we value it. When we think that okay, it's not really important and we don't care much, we don't have, we don't value this thing. That's a simple thing. It's a simple math, right? Okay, so he's saying a very nice thing. He says that most people are horrible at answering these why questions accurately, and this prevents them from achieving a deeper knowledge of their own values. Sure, they may say that they value honesty and a true friend, but then they turn around and lie about you behind your back to make themselves feel better. People may perceive that they feel lonely, but when they ask themselves why they feel lonely, they tend to come up with a way to blame others. Everyone else is mean, or no one is cool or smart enough to understand them, and thus they farther avoid their problem instead of seeking to solve it. Right? So he says that when those people, when we as a people, go deeper into this self-awareness onion, we find that the original one analysis was based on avoiding responsibility for their own problem. So when we avoid responsibility, that was the actual thing that causes the problem in the first place, and accurately identifying the problem. So two things happened: we can't really identify that what the heck is the problem, okay, and the second thing is that we don't take responsibility for them. If we hit a problem, we blame others, right? Simple. And that's why we try to chase those high, and it does not generate any kind of happiness, he's saying here. So let's see what we get here. I have a huge smile here. I'm going to read this. Most self-help gurus ignore this deeper level of self-awareness as well. They take people who are miserable because they want to be rich and then give them all sorts of advice on how to make more money, all the while ignoring important values-based questions. Why do they feel such a need to be rich in the first place? How are they choosing to measure success or failure for themselves? Is it not perhaps some particular value that's the root cause of their unhappiness, and not the fact that they don't drive a Bentley yet? So he's saying that isn't it our value, isn't it our thinking that actually causes the unhappiness? See, suppose I'm saying that I'm poor, I want more money, I want to be rich, right? So if it is causing me unhappiness, right, and I'm thinking that this is the thing actually causing me unhappiness, we need to keep answering these things, that why I actually want to be rich, right? So it's really important for people to find the root cause, find the root that why they needs to be a certain person, why they need money, why they wants to be rich, right? So they need to find the root cause here that will actually generates the true happiness. He has to say, I believe that because if someone is asking that okay, I want to be rich, and if he just keep working towards it, you can't there is no stopping to become a rich. You can grow further, and you will grow with this. Your society will also grow with you, but that's not the thing. But you're still unhappy because you're still not satisfied, because there is no limit to rich, there is no limit to be healthy. You can't really say that okay, I'm the healthiest person, this is the goal I hit. You can become more and more healthy, more and more fit, right? So these are the things you need to find, that why do you want to become a healthy person at the first place, why do you want to become a rich person at the first place. If you can find this, then if you can find the root cause, then chances are that you will be happy. Chances not you, it's not chances, I'm sure that happiness, it's not easy. It's going to be very easy to find happiness, because otherwise we will be like chasing all the time. Yeah. So here is the thing: honest self-questioning is difficult. It requires asking yourself simple questions that are uncomfortable to answer. In fact, in my experience, the more uncomfortable the answer, the more likely it is to be true. So ask yourself this kind of uncomfortable answers that you feel that okay, I can't really answer this kind of thing, and he says that the more likely it is, the more comfortable the answer is, it is more likely to be true, right? So there is an exercise kind of thing which I like, right? There's like, do this exercise. I did it back then when I read the book for the first time. So he says that take a moment and think of something that's really bugging you. Okay, take some moment and relax, sit on your chair or cushion, on your bed, and think about what is the thing that is really bugging you, what is the thing that causes you worry you. So just think about it, this thing, and now ask yourself why it bugs you. Now, keep questioning yourself. Chances are the answer will involve a failure of some sort, and it's obvious because when I was doing this exercise, there are certain phases were going on in my life when I was purchasing this apartment, and there was not only one thing, there are multiple different things were bugging me at that time. So I did this exercise and it was amazing. So now ask yourself why it bugs you, and I asked myself, okay, why this thing is actually bugging me, right? So chances are the answer will involve a failure of some sort, and honestly speaking, it actually involved. In my case, I don't know. Then take that failure and ask why it seems true to you. Okay, so failure, how we see it. Or if you just take an example of Hiro Onoda, you will see that he was a failure because he spent like 30 years of his life in the jungle. But for him, it was not a failure. His suffering was, his pain was, his purpose was bigger than his suffering, and he enjoyed being there. He had a purpose there. When he came back from the jungle, he had no purpose. He was like a dead man, even though he had a celebrity stature, but it did not work for him. Like he had a purpose in the jungle only. So now we need to ask this question, that why we think it is failure in the first place. Like, then take that failure and ask why it seems true to you. Like, okay, we need to ask that why this failure is true, right? What if that failure wasn't really a failure? What if you have been looking at it in the wrong way? So okay, we need to ask that, okay, I'm thinking that, okay, I'm a failure. This is the kind of thing that really happens, which is a failure. That's why I feel this kind of certain kind of emotion. So that is really bugging me, right? So that is the thing. But he says that what if it is not really a failure? What if you have been looking at the wrong way? Okay, then I thought, okay, am I looking at it the wrong way? And I was sure that I'm not looking at it in the wrong way. I was a failure at that time. So I kept on reading. So he's giving an example here, a recent example from my own life. It bugs me that my brother does not return my text or emails. Why? Because it feels like he does not give a shit about me. Why does this seem true? Because if he wanted to have a relationship with me, he would take 10 seconds out of its day to interact with me. Why does his lack of relation with you feel like a failure? Because we are brothers, we are supposed to have a good relationship. So that is expectation, that he's thinking that, okay, he's my brother, he should keep all the relationship with me. I have written like very important example here that actually changed my mind, that okay, I'm looking at it in a different way. I need to look at it from other perspective as well. Because see, when we face any problem, when something is really bugs us, something is really causes worry, our mind is actually gets blocked to see this problem in a different way or different any other way, because this problem is in front of our eyes and we can see only that. We have this horse vision, but we need to see this problem on other perspective as well. We need to widen our perspective and see that what this problem is, whether this problem is actually is a problem or whether I'm just assuming something and that really causes me to worry. So these are the things. So I really was brainstorming with the problem that I was thinking about, that okay, whether I'm seeing it from the correct perspective or not. Anyways, going to talk about one thing called metric, which is the best thing about this book. I quite like. If you want to take each and everything from this, if you want to take one thing from this book, just take this lesson. I really like it, and I think people also can relate to it as well. And I'm sure that there is nothing to just disagree with it. Even if you do, you can just let me know in the comment. Okay. So he had this metric, like he used to measure that how many times his brother should contact him, so that will make a good relationship, that will make a successful relationship with his brother. He used to measure this with the phone call or text, that how much his brother is sending. That is actually a success for him, right? This is the metrics that he was setting for him. He think that okay, his brother don't care about him, and his brother don't value his relationship because he don't text him, because he don't call him often. So and Mark Manson is assuming in his mind, okay, my brother does not care about me anymore, like this, right? Because the metric he set in his mind was like that my brother needs to call like each and every day and keep asking their brother that, hey, how are you doing? So he set this metric in his mind. His metric was actually causing that problem, right? So he got dig deeper in this. Why are brothers supposed to have a good relationship? Then he asked, okay, because they are family, and family are supposed to be close. Why does that seem true? Because your family is supposed to matter to you more than anyone else. Why does that seem true? Because being close with your family is normal and healthy, and I don't have that. So here's the thing. In this exchange, I am clear about my underlying value, having a good relationship with my brother, but I'm still struggling with my metric. So his metric is wrong at the first place. His metric should be having a good relationship with his brother, not how many times his brother calls him or texts him. He set this wrong metric, and that's why he was feeling like a failure at the first place. So that is the most beautiful thing in this book. I quite like, and I started thinking in a different way whenever I look at other people and see whatever we call or see whatever we see, even we are seeing that someone is like driving a BMW, driving a Bentley. We are thinking that okay, that guy must be so much happy, and if I could get that, I would be happy too. That's when we are setting a different kind of metrics, that maybe that metric is not for him. Okay, maybe I'm thinking like a failure in the wrong place, right? We are not, that's the problem with us. We don't see the we don't see the failure in a different perspective. We just have this horse vision, right? We are saying, okay, if I have this car, then I will be happy. So we don't ask the underlying question that why we need this, right? So yeah, so for Mark Manson, his metric was the problem. But when he brainstormed more, that he understood that having a good relationship was all that he matters to him. His brother was his family. His brother was his only family, sort of like that. So he wanted to have this good relationship. So here's the thing. I'm going to read this again, and it's very important. In this exchange, I am clear about my underlying value, having a good relationship with my brother, but I'm still struggling with my metric. I have given it another name, closeness, but the metric has not really changed. I'm still judging myself as a brother based on frequency of contact, right? And comparing myself using that metric. So he's comparing that, comparing himself using the metric, that how many times they contact with each other, right? Using that metric against other people I know. Everyone else has a close relationship with their family members, and I don't. So obviously there must be something wrong with me. But what if I am choosing a poor metric for myself and for my life? What else could be true that I am not considering? Well, perhaps I don't need to be close to my brother to have a good relationship that I value. Perhaps there just needs to be some mutual respect, which there is, or maybe mutual trust is what to look for, and it's there. Perhaps this metrics would be better assessments of brotherhood than how many text messages he and I exchange. So he says that he changed the metric only. He used to, his metric for good relationship with his brother was like how many times they text each other, how many times they contact each other, and go for a phone call or anything like that. But he changed the metric to like good relationship actually defines that how much how much respect you have for that another person, how much mutual respect you have, how much trust you do on that person. That's actually creates a good relationship. He said that is the value, that is the metric. Actually he actually targeted after that. Then there is no problem actually. So the problem is solved when he changed the metric. There is no problem. Right. So this clearly makes sense. It feels true for me, but it is still fucking hurts that my brother and I aren't close, and there is no positive way to spin it. There is no secret way to glorify myself through this knowledge. Sometimes brothers can even brothers who love each other don't have close relationships, and that's fine. It is hard to accept at first, but that's fine. What is objectively true about your situation is not important as how you come to see the situation, how you choose to measure it and value it. Right? Problem may be inevitable, but the meaning of each problem is not. We get control what our problem mean based on how we choose to think about them, and the standard by which choose to measure them. So when we get a problem in our life, the problem is problem when we think that okay, how it's all about that how we're seeing it as a problem, and what are the metrics that we're choosing that is defining this thing as a problem at the first place, right? Suppose I'm thinking that okay, I can't really wake up because my life is chaotic. So is this a problem? Is this a metric to just judge you can't revise? This is the reason you can't really wake up at the first place? No, this is not. Maybe there are some other certain metrics that you should look for, right? So maybe you should go early to the bed. That will actually solve the problem. You may trace back to the source that's saying that okay, my life is chaotic, that's why I can't really sleep at the right moment. That's not the root cause. So just find the root cause and change your metric, and it's really important. The moment we change the metric, the problem seems different to us, and it's really nice. I love the story of this the rockstar problem. I just really love the story. I'm just going to tell you, I have written the huge lesson here as well. I'm going to tell you in a short way that what the story is all about, but I'm going to read it again. So this is a story of a guitarist. He was one day he was asked by his team, and he has given his ticket and said like, okay, now go home. There is no place for you. So it was like that. That's so bad, right? So when he was out of his band, he decided that okay, he will make a band and he will show them that what he can do while they are they will be failure and he will be the successful person. And he recruited all the best musicians in the world, and which was far better than his other band that he was to be part of. And he sold like 25 millions of his album, right? 25 million albums of his, right? So the band name of his was Megadeth, and he's none other than Dave Mustaine. Dave Mustaine was in the history, he's the most influential and brilliant musician in the history. But here's the thing, the band he was kicked out is none other than Metallica. And even if you don't heard of Dave Mustaine, Metallica you may heard of. Even in India, people have this t-shirt of Metallica, and some people really wear this without even understanding the meaning of Metallica, because it just sounds western and cool, right? Anyways, so here's the thing. And so in a rare interview, Dave Mustaine actually said that even though he has achieved a lot of things, he feel like a failure, right? Because he feel that he's still the same guy who was kicked out of the Metallica, right? It doesn't really matter that how much he achieved. Now think about it. We are seeing the Dave Mustaine's life. We are seeing that 25 millions of his albums are getting sold. He has made this band like Megadeth. He has achieved a lot of things. He is the most brilliant and influential musician in the history. And we are seeing the Dave Mustaine and saying, wow, this guy is so great, and he must be proud and happy. But that is our metric. We are judging that okay, if a guy is like influential and brilliant, if he achieved a lot of things, a lot of money, a lot of fame, that guy must be happy. That is our metric. But for Dave Mustaine, the metric was totally different. He used to feel that the same guy, he was kicked out of the band Metallica, so he was still not happy. He felt that pain still in his chest, that okay, I was kicked out of Metallica, and that was the metric for him. He was judging his ability in the terms of that metric, that he was thinking that it doesn't really matter that how much I earn, how much influential I become. I'm still the guy who was kicked out of the band Metallica, right? So he was judging his each and every achievement with that metric. So his metric was only whatever was he used to do, he used to feel like a failure only. Yeah. So I'm gonna read this line from here. We are apes. We think we are all sophisticated with our toaster ovens and designer footwear, but we are just a bunch of finely ornamented apes. And because we are apes, we instinctually measure ourselves against others and vie for status. The question is not whether we evaluate ourselves against others, rather the question is by what standard do we measure ourselves. So this is really important. We actually compare a lot with other person. Someday if you just think that okay, suppose you're thinking that okay, I need a car, I want to be rich. But why do you want to be rich? The first thing may comes in your mind sometime that okay, see, rich people are doing that. Rich people are doing those. Rich people are going to the vacations. They are having that car, those car. You are just judging this metrics in you're just comparing yourself then with those person, nothing else. Okay, we need to see that what standard we actually keep ourselves, what standard do we use to judge ourselves, right? We need to be very conscious about this. So yeah, I have written a note here as well. Okay, it says that comparing and keep ourselves in a competition may bring some sort of success, but are we going to be satisfied? Yeah, that's true. Okay, Dave Mustaine, whether he realized it or not, chose chose to measure himself by whether he was more successful and popular than Metallica. The experience of getting thrown out of his former band was so painful for him that he adopted success relative to Metallica as the metric by which no measure himself and his music career. So his metric was like that: how much he's how much better he is than the Metallica. So his metric was like that. Even though he was so much influential, he was so much brilliant, he had made a brand who sold 25 millions of albums, but still his metric was for like how much influential or more better, how much better he is compared to the Metallica. So his metric was restricted to that only. That does not bring any kind of happiness actually. So yeah. So I'm gonna read this. Now you and I may look at Dave Mustaine's situation and laugh. Here is this guy with millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of adoring fans, a career doing the things he loves best, and still he's getting all weepy-eyed that his rockstar buddies from 20 years ago were way famous than he is. Right? This is because you and I have different values than Mustaine does. We measure ourselves by different metrics. Our metrics are probably more like, I don't want to work for a job for a boss I hate, or I would like to earn money to send my kid to a good school, or I would be happy to wake up in a drainage ditch. And by those metrics, Mustaine is widely unimaginably successful. But by his metric, be popular and successful than Metallica, he is a failure. So our metric is like, okay, it's totally different. It has nothing to do with Dave Mustaine's value or metric, right? His metrics is totally different. So that's why Dave Mustaine actually feels that he is a failure, right? Our values determine the metrics by which we measure ourselves and everyone else. Onoda's value of loyalty to the Japanese empire is what sustained him on Lubang for almost 30 years. But this same value is also what made him miserable upon his return to Japan. Mustaine's metric of being better than Metallica likely helped him launch an incredibly successful music career, but the same metric later tortured him in spite of his success. Maybe he was chasing Metallica, but that's why he got, that's why actually he sold 25 millions album, and that's why he has created a band like Metallica. That's why he became so much influential. Maybe that was success, but still he feels like a failure in spite of getting all the success, right? That is an important lesson. So the story is like of Pete Best. Pete Best was like the was a guitarist, and he was also out from his band. Although he was so much talented and so much handsome, and he deserved to be the first face of the band, but still he was thrown out of the band because three of other bandmates did not really liked him, and the band was called the Beatlemania. You may have heard their music, and Beatlemania actually became popular at in 1960s, when he hired this other guy called the Ringo. He was also a guitarist, and yeah, they made some albums. But here's the thing, but Pete Best actually went into the depression. He Because all of his music projects also failed. He started to he also attempted to start music projects, but all of these things were failed also. So he, in the 1968, he attempted to make suicide, attempted to suicide also, but then he talked to his mother, and all the things were like normal after that. So his life was also in a wreck, if you see that. But in the interview of 1994, he said that I am happier than I would have been with the Beatles. So he's saying that he is happy when all these things happened to him, right? No, Mark Manson is saying, what the hell? So he says that after all of these things happen, after he kicked out, then he marry his wife, and his values started to change. Then he says that fame and glory would have been nice, sure, but he decided that what he already had was more important: a big and loving family, a stable marriage, and a simple life. So his values changed, and he thrived for this stable marriage, simple life, and loving family. So it was his value which was changed, and he was happy with that, because it really depends on what your value is, and that how you're judging your values with that certain metric, right? I'm gonna read one thing from here. Well, this stories suggest that some values and metrics are better than others. Some lead to good problems that are easily and regularly solved. Others lead to bad problems that are not easily and regularly solved. Right. So he's saying that some values and metrics are actually better than others. Some that can be solved easily, some that can't be solved easily. Right. That's the only difference. Now the title is Shitty Values. We don't have much pages to read, so we will be completing very soon. It's 89 pages only, I guess. Yeah, only 8 pages, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Not even 8, it's just 7 pages I need to read today. We'll be back in a minute. So I read so many things here. I need to just read. I just need to make it clarify this a lot of things. So first thing is pleasure. So here's the thing. Research shows that people who focus their energy on superficial pleasures end up more anxious, more emotionally unstable, and more depressed. Pleasure is the most superficial form of life satisfaction, and therefore the easiest to obtain and the easiest to lose. So pleasure is something is very easy to get and very easy to lose as well. I want to sleep, I can just go to there and sleep. Just give me a sec. So yeah, pleasure is something that is really easy to get and easy to lose as well, because if I want to sleep, I can just go to my bed and sleep. It is very easy, but it is also easy to lose that as well. And if you want to sugar, I can just eat the sugar and have fun, right? But here is the thing, pleasure is not the cause of happiness, rather it is the effect. If you get the other stuff right, the other values and metrics, then pleasure will naturally occur as a byproduct, right? So here's the thing about material success. So research shows that one is able to provide for basic physical needs. The relationship, so I'm just going to read it here. The correlation between happiness and worldly success quickly approaches zero. So if you're starving and living on the street in the middle of India, an extra $10,000 a year would affect your happiness a lot. But if you are sitting pretty in the middle class in a developed country, an extra $10,000 per year won't affect anything much. Meaning that you're killing yourself working overtime and weekends for basically nothing, right? That is the material success, right? Another thing is always being right. So people who base their self-worth on being right about everything prevent themselves from learning from their mistakes. The ability to take on new perspectives and empathize with others. So he says that people who think that okay, they are the only thing that they are right about, and they think that okay, I'm right about everything. If I'm saying this should be a right thing. These are the people who actually prevent themselves from learning from their own mistakes, right? So, and they can't really open to different kind of perspectives as well. Yeah. So why I was reading all this, let me just tell you. The thing is that there are a handful of common values that create really poor problems for people. So these are the things that creates a lot of different kind of poor problems in your lives. So first thing is the pleasure, second is the material success, third is the always being right, and there are some other points as well that I'm going to read right now. Yep. And the fourth is staying positive. Okay, and then there are those who measure their lives by the ability to be positive about, well, pretty much everything. Lost your job? Great, that's an opportunity to explore your passions. Husband cheated on you with your sister? Well, at least you are learning what you really mean to the people around you. Child dying of throat cancer? At least you don't have to pay for college anymore. Well, there is something to be said for staying on the sunny side of the life. The truth is, sometimes life's sucks, and the healthiest thing you can do is to admit it, right? Sometimes our life sucks, and if we don't admit it and we like always like we are positive, that doesn't really matter. This will not improve, that will not actually help us progress actually. So denying negative emotions leads to experiencing deeper and more prolonged negative emotions. He's saying that you are suppressing the emotion for a certain period of time, but you can't really suppress that for a longer period of time, and it's very bad for the for the long term, because if you're suppressing any negative emotion, saying that you are positive with the layer of positiveness, you can't really suppress it, you need to accept it, then this thing will get out of your system, and you will experiencing positive things. What we it is not written here, but what we generally do is like this. When we feel a negative emotion, suppose this is a negative emotion, we try to overlap this, and this is a positive emotion, we try to overlap the positive emotion on top of the negative emotion, and we think that okay, everything is fine, right? It's like this. So this is the negative emotion, and we put the positive emotion, that is a positive emotion, we put it on top of it, and we think that okay, now everything is fine. But this should not be the case. The case we should do, like we should accept that there is a negative emotion, and we need to flush it out, and we can flush it out only if we accept that there is a negative emotion. If we don't accept that there is no negative emotion in the first place, we can't really flush it out of our system. And if we do this, if we layer it on top of positive emotions, that negative emotions will be there underlying, and it will be like a cancer that is growing, right? So we really need to accept that there is a negative emotion and flush it out of our system. So that's the thing, that's the approach that we should have, right? Great. So denying negative emotions leads to experiencing deeper and more prolonged negative emotions and to emotional dysfunction. Great. Constant positivity is a form of avoidance, not a valid solution to life's problems. Problems which, by the way, if you're choosing the right values and metrics, should be invigorating and more and motivating to you. Okay. Okay, the trick with negative emotions is to express them in a socially acceptable and healthy manner. Express them in a way that aligns with your values. So the two way we can express deal with the negative emotion, express them in a socially acceptable and healthy manner, right? We can't really abuse express them in a way that aligns with your values. Okay, here is some example. A value of mine is non-violence. Therefore, when I get mad at somebody, I express that anger, but I also make a point of not punching them in the face. Right? So if your values are non-violence, so, and if you're getting a problem and you're seeing that okay, I should punch this guy in the face, because your values are non-violence, you just restrain yourself, right? And think about it like this. Radical idea, I know, but the anger is not the problem. Anger is natural, anger is part of life, anger is arguably quite healthy in many situations. Remember, emotions are just feedback. See, it's the punching people in the face that's the problem, not the anger, right? The anger is merely the is merely the messenger of for my fist in your face. Don't blame the messenger, blame my fist or your face. So he's saying that anger is nothing but a messenger who is saying, hey, you should kick that guy, you should punch this guy in the face. So he says that we should not blame the messenger, like we should not blame the anger, we should blame the this activity itself, right? Okay, when we force ourselves to stay positive at all times, we deny the existence of our life's problems, and when we deny our problems, we rob ourselves of the chance to solve them and generate happiness. Problems add a sense of meaning and importance to our life. Thus, to duck our problems is to lead a meaningless, even if is supposedly pleasant existence. That's really important. Problems add a sense of meaning and importance to our life, he's saying. Thus, to duck our problems is to lead a meaningless existence, right? So here's a very beautiful thing he talked about. In the long run, completing a marathon makes us happier than eating a chocolate cake. Raising a child makes us happier than beating a video game. Starting a small business with friends while struggling to make ends meet makes us happier than buying a new computer. These activities are stressful, arduous, and often unpleasant. They also require withstanding problem after problem, yet they are some of the most meaningful moments and joyous things we will ever do. They involve pain, struggle, even anger and despair. Yet once they are accomplished, we look back and get all misty eyed telling our grandkids about them. Right? So, here is a very nice quote by Freud. He says, "One day in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful." So when we look back, someday all the struggles that we felt will will look beautiful. You know, all the struggles that we did to achieve what we wanted to do, what we wanted to, achieve in our life, what we wanted to do for others, wanted to do for our family, what we wanted to do for ourselves. These are all going to make sense when we see it in a retrospect. The top bird's eye view at some point in time. That's amazing. This is why these values, pleasure, material success, always being right, staying positive, are poor ideals for a person's lives. Some of the greatest moments of one's life are not pleasant, not successful, not known, and not positive. The point is to nail down some good values and metrics and pleasures, and success will naturally emerge as a result. These things are side effects of good values by themselves. These are empty highs. Okay, these are nothing but highs, he's saying, right? Guys, I will be back in 2 minutes. So I'm back here again, and yeah. So what we are reading, defining good and bad values. Let's just define. So he's saying that there are two kind of values, that is good and that is bad, right? Bad values is like good values is like reality based, which is based on reality, socially constructive, and immediate and controllable. And bad values are superstitious, socially destructive, not immediate or controllable, right? So he's saying that honesty is a good value because it's totally in our control. It does not really matter that how much what people do to you, what people plans to do to you. It's totally controllable because it's only up to you that how do you react and whether you keep your honesty or not. It's totally depend on you, right? Another thing is like popularity is not really controllable and immediate. It's totally depend on the other person, that how actually other person see you or perceive you. So it's not in your control, so you can't really control popularity, right? People who are terrified of what others think about them are actually terrified of all the shitty things that they think about themselves being reflected back at them. So whenever we think that okay, people will think about me like this way, people will think about me like that way, it is all, these are all the things that we think of ourselves actually, not the people right? So that may happens to you. Some examples of good healthy values like honesty, innovation, vulnerability, standing up for oneself, standing up for others, self-respect, curiosity, charity, humility, creativity. All these things are in control, immediate, and you can do it, right? And it's also socially constructive as well, isn't that? Okay. Some examples of bad are like unhealthy values are like this: dominance through manipulation or violence, indiscriminate fucking feeling good all the time, always being the center of attention, not being alone. You can't really decide that I won't be alone. It's not in your control. People, if what if people left you, right, and they don't want to be with you, it's not in your control. Being liked by everybody. I was reading leaked. Being liked by everybody, being rich for the sake of being rich, sacrificing small animals to the pagan gods. That happens a lot in India as well. I really don't like this, but it happens. Anyways. This happens in other countries as well. If you're thinking that okay, it really only happens in the India, it's not like that. Anyways, just let me know that whether it happens in any other countries as well, if you're watching this video from any other countries. Anyways, let me just read this. Okay. So here is the thing: when we choose to choose better values, we are able to divert our focus to something better, towards things that matter, things that improve the state of our well-being and that generate happiness, pleasure, and success as side effects. This in a nutshell is what self-improvement is really about: prioritizing better values, right? Choosing better things to give a fuck about, because when you give for better fucks, you get better problems, right? And when you get better problems, you get a better life, right? The more problems, the better the problem is, the more you solve, we will solve it, the more better your life will be, right? That's amazing. Now this part only talks about that what this book is going to be all about in the next chapters. So if you read this, you will understand that what are the chapters that are coming actually. Okay, so with that, we have completed today's reading of day 33 of 60-day reading challenge, guys. Yes, we are on 60-day reading challenge. I have changed the playlist name from 30-day reading challenge to 60-day reading challenge, because I didn't want to stop, and I thought that okay, I should keep going more if I can do that, right? Because see, I would have been waste this time anyway. I would have been sleeping at that time. I would have just actually wake up, it's 7:30 in my clock. I would have wake up in this time. So I thought that okay, let's just wake up and let's just keep this 60-day reading challenge, and I will wake up and read a book in that time only, and that will be helpful for me and some other people if they are reading with me, even though they are not listening to me. I'm just saying this thing to clarify my thoughts. It's just a log for me. So when I read a book and when I say this kind of things with you guys, it's really clarify my understanding sometime as well. Sometimes I think that what I was saying, I was really talking bullshit. When I look back my videos sometimes, I say okay, I was really talking this shit. I did not get the problem. What is the problem is, right? So 3 things that I really quite like from today is like, one is the like pleasures are the very pleasures are the all the things that we should it's really easy to get and easy to lose as well, and we should not like focus too much on it. And another thing is the metric, that how we actually define our things. So it's totally depends on our values, that how we actually define our life's problems are. So that's really important. Okay, if you're thinking that we are a failure, that what is the reason that we are failure? So we define the metric, which we choose poor metrics. So it's really important that we choose better metrics and better values, right? And the third thing that I quite like, why I forget this thing. No, I really liked this thing. There was a part of something here. Where are you? Yeah, here is the thing. Always being right. So the people who always think that okay, I need to be right I think that okay, I'm the right person in every situation. I used to be a kind of person at some point in time, for a year, I would say. But then one thing that really helped me to solve this problem is like going out and meeting with people, because in my industry, I'm a software engineer, and I am liked by all the people, all of my colleagues in the office, and they really do adore the way I work. But that was generating one thing in my mind, that okay, I'm really good with my work. Whatever I must be saying must be right. So that kind of feeling was coming, started generating on my mind. And then I used to thought that okay, I'm very good with my things. I'm very good with my crafts. That's really good for the confidence, but it was a bad confidence at some point in time, because I did not feel like saying something which won't be right. So it was causing me some frustration sometime as well. So I started meeting a lot of people, I started going to the webinars, not webinars, in the meetups, because it was pre-coronavirus time. I was going to meet with a lot of people out there, and that really helped me see that okay, people are far more better than state that I am not really the only person who is the only right. Okay, there are a lot of people out there who is doing a lot of better things other than me. So I'm not the best person. Maybe I'm the best person in my field, in my office, but I'm not really the best person. So that really clarifies my thinking, okay, that I need to think about it in a different way. That was really important. So we should not think that okay, we are always right. Okay, that really is a total shitty value that you can have, right? Anyway, so with that we have completed the chapter 4, and we are going to read chapter 5 tomorrow. And that was The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. Guys, if you liked my I don't know what to like about it. Anyways, if you're just reading with me, just do subscribe my YouTube channel. And I post a lot of carousels are like all the sliding posts and cool videos, like super useful and value filled reels on Instagram. That is a link that you can see right now on the screen. And I also upload on Twitter. So that is the Twitter, that is my Twitter. Just follow all the quotes, and I dump each and everything here in the Facebook. I just dump. Okay, so this is the Facebook that you see right now, and this is the Twitch also. So go ahead and follow wherever you are actually active, and forgive me for doing this, keep doing where is it? So thank you so much again, and have a good day.